So when I was preparing for this and I saw the sort of audience who's here, and I find a lot of police officers, there are people from the intelligence agency, and there I could spot a few defense officers and so on. There was one thing which I found common, which brings us all here, and that is that we are all part of the, we are all actors in this national security. So when we talk of national security, what is it? It's basically about sustaining the population, economy, infrastructure, borders, the overall preserving our way of life. That's what national security is all about. We are all actors in this field. And when we talk about national security, we also talk about a national security model, which is basically the national interest which is at core, which is constantly being threatened by natural disasters, by technological disasters, and by intentional attacks. And in order to mitigate all of this, we have the various plans in place. We have the awareness, how we identify a threat. We have our prevention, protection, and when the incident actually occurs, we have our methodologies to respond to it, and also our recovery system. So, keeping all this in mind, what I'm trying to say is that this is at the national level. We can reduce the scale, we can have it at the state, we can have it at the city level. So the theme of our of secure cities is that all this thing is also applicable at the city scale as well. So when we talk of an internal security mission, who all are challenged with it? It is the same people like us, the law enforcement agencies, police, the disaster management authority, health services, defense, and so on. We all are involved in the intelligence and the internal security mission. And what are the various requirements for this mission is the shared vision and objectives, the comprehensive understanding of vulnerabilities, and the effective resource management, and finally coordination, communications, and situational awareness. So ultimately what we are trying to put across is that there is an integrated framework which is required to do all this. And that is where, when we talk of internal security, we have a lot of critical infrastructure data related to buildings, transport, to agriculture, banking, finance, defense, you name it. And so many of them are listed here, so the slide is not very clear. But all of these layers are all related to finding locations on a map. And that is where we get the clue of using location as an integrating framework. So things like topography, roads, imagery, population, parcels are all part of the national spatial data infrastructure. And this can be used, that is the GIS can be used as an integrating framework for putting our act of secure cities together. So here we have multiple places, multiple agencies, whether it is the police, defense, disaster management, all of them coming together using GIS as a common framework and then being able to use this for our work. So how does this all happen? So when we talk of GIS for internal security, we have various sources of information. The previous speakers have mentioned some of the sources of information. We can add a whole lot of sources of information. We need to integrate and analyze all this, put it into an actionable intelligence, create a common operating picture out of it, which we can share it with the public, we can share it within our organization, we can communicate with the various people, and then finally take a coordinated action. So coordinated action here is a very important and an important aspect of the whole situational awareness. Next is, when you have an internal security mission challenges, what are the various challenges that we are trying to tackle? The challenges are related to collecting and managing pieces of information. We are modeling and assessing that vulnerabilities and developing a security and a mitigation plan for it. We are supporting and preventing response or having some sort of an incident management system, helping to track and manage the resources, and finally to maintain a situational awareness. Now this is a complex multi-agency problem, and this is where GIS or geographic information systems would help in doing this. These are the capabilities that they will provide in terms of data management, in terms of planning analysis, in terms of operational awareness, and in terms of providing GIS for mobile systems which you can use it in the field and provide your feedback. ultimately how this entire thing would play up would be in the form of an information system. So when we talk of GIS, GIS itself is an information system. Now how each of these pillars that I talked about would be shown here in this thing. Firstly is data management. So when we talk of data management for internal security, you have various possibilities here. We require a very strong platform which will actually collect information from various sources. It will help you to publish those information to various users. It will be able to, you can use this information to sort of operationalize your plan, and also to be able to efficiently conduct your common operating picture. The next stage is of planning analysis, when you use GIS for planning and analysis. And I have taken this in the form of an example here. This example is basically of any city for this matter, which is along the road, and it could be Delhi or any other city for this example. So we can carry out some sort of a risk and hazard analysis in terms of like floods which take place. So there's a natural hazard. So which are the areas where the flooding can take place? Which are the areas through which the routes where hazardous materials would actually pass? Which are the areas where there are railway lines and where again hazardous materials can pass? So that way we can get the technological hazards. Where are the locations where these hazardous materials are actually used? And when you combine all of this in the GIS, you'll get a very good visualization of the vulnerability of your various hazards. You can use this to overlay along with your critical infrastructure density, and then you are able to actually find out which are your populations which are very vulnerable. And that is how you can get an overall assessment. With this information, you can actually create a plan, you can operationalize your plan, you can even find out things like which are the areas which are vulnerable, which are less vulnerable, which are more, which are the populations which are affected, and you can create your own plan to undertake this. The next thing is about the field mobility or field operations. Now here is a situation where the incident has actually occurred and you are able to, from the field, using your mobile phones or your handheld devices, you can actually provide all that information back to your GIS. And that is how the status of work which is going on, the rehabilitation which is going on, the field impact reporting, these sort of things can actually be carried out. Damage and assessment, you can take photographs, you can send that photographs back to your control room. A picture would tell much more than 1,000 words. So all those things can actually be done with the help of a GIS.
30 seconds.
Okay, very short. The next is about situational awareness. And in situational awareness, I can tell you that in a centralized control room, you can have various types of maps coming up where information which are coming from the field are also coming up, are also being shown. So here you can have, like in a city, for example, the picture is not very clear. You can have CCTV cameras, you can monitor them, you can show those cameras on the screen. You can actually have dashboards which are giving you all sorts of information, which are giving you day-to-day points about things which are happening related to weather. The Srinagar case is a case in point. So there are various ways in which the GIS would help. But ultimately, when you summarize all of them, you'll find that it is the 4 methodologies of data management, planning analysis, in field mobility and situational awareness. These are the 4 methods in which GIS would really help as far as your work is concerned. And this is also the reason why the product that we make, which is the ArcGIS, it really enables internal security. ArcGIS is a platform, it's not just a simple GIS which is meant only for a server or a desktop, but as a platform it can take care of all your requirements across the desktop, web, devices and all. So GIS anywhere, anytime. With the help of a portal, you can even organize your content, you can manage your access with the help of this. You can have, it's entirely powered by services, so it's simple, open and configurable. So the GIS would actually help you to configure your web maps, you can actually help you to share your content, help you to interface with the public in a much more intuitive manner. And it is accessible from any type of client, which is your smartphones, it could be your web devices, it could be your desktops and servers.
And ultimately, whenever you have GIS, you need to customize it, and that is where ArcGIS scores over others. So it is a tool which you can customize it extremely well, whether it is on the desktop side, web, or on the device. So ultimately, a plain, simple, vanilla GIS might not really help your work. Really the focus has to be able to customize and configure your work for your use. With that, I have come to the end. If there is any specific questions, we'll take it now or later.
We will take it later.
Okay.